She was homeless, forgotten, and broken until a millionaire picked her off the street and took her to his ex-fiancée's high society wedding. But when she stepped up to the mic, what she said didn't just ruin the wedding, it exposed a scandal that shook the entire elite circle. This is the story of how a woman with nothing brought an empire to its knees. Before we begin, comment where you are watching from in the comment section. Damien Owolabi had once believed in three things: hard work, love, and loyalty. But by the time he turned 30, only one of those still held true, and even that had blood on it. The day Amara left him was etched into his memory like a knife wound that never healed right. He had just lost his biggest investor after a rival company falsely accused his startup of fraud. The media feasted on the scandal, dragging his name through the mud. In a matter of weeks, his accounts were frozen, his office shut down, and employees stopped picking his calls. But Damien still had Amara, or so he thought. He remembered sitting across from her in the empty living room of the apartment they had shared in Lekki. Most of the furniture was gone. The paintings she loved had been taken down. The place echoed with emptiness. "I'm not built for this kind of suffering," she had said, adjusting the strap of her Louis Vuitton purse. "You'll bounce back, Damien. But I can't afford to sink with you." He stared at her, blinking away disbelief. "So you're leaving?" he said, voice low. "I'm choosing survival," she replied. He watched as she walked out without looking back. Her heels clicked against the marble tiles like gunshots. That night, Damien stayed on the floor, his head resting against the wall, eyes wide open till morning. He didn't eat, didn't cry, just stared at the ceiling. Days turned into weeks. Then the real dagger came. He was scrolling through Instagram when he saw the post. A lavish engagement party held at Banana Island. The woman in the video wore the same smile that once made his heart melt. Amara, dancing with Toby Bube, the billionaire's son, Damien's former investor and business associate. Betrayal had a face now, and it looked like someone he once trusted with his life. Tobe, the same man who had once toasted to their brotherhood, the same man who said, "Women like Amara only come around once in a lifetime, bro. Don't lose her." Now he understood why Toby said that. The two of them stood grinning in their engagement photo, her hand raised proudly, the diamond ring sparkling, as if mocking the one he once gave her. Damien felt something break inside, not sadness, not anger, something deeper, a hollowing of trust. But he didn't post a rant. He didn't beg. He vanished from the public. 6 months passed. No one knew where he went. Rumors spread he relocated to Ghana, some said. Others claimed he was broke and working in a cyber cafe again. They were all wrong. He had gone silent because he was working, building, plotting. In that dark period, he rebuilt Swipsend from scratch under a new name. He traveled to Dubai, pitched to investors, worked overnight in underground tech labs, and coded like his soul depended on it. Within 18 months, he launched Swift Hive, a blockchain-based payment gateway that revolutionized cross-border transfers in Africa. By the time his face returned to billboards, his net worth had tripled. He became the golden boy of Nigerian tech once again this time, with scars hidden behind a diamond-studded wristwatch and a smile carved from steel. But the ghosts of the past weren't done with him, because on a quiet Thursday morning in March, he returned from a breakfast meeting and saw an envelope awaiting on the mahogany table in his living room. No name, just gold lining. He opened it, expecting maybe a corporate invite or award ceremony. Instead, his eyes caught a name he hadn't said aloud in months. Amara Tobe, together forever. Wedding invitation. Venue, the Monarch Event Center. Date, March 15th. Time, 3 p.m. At the bottom was a handwritten note in blue ink. Hope you've healed. It would mean a lot if you came. Amara. He read it twice. Hope you've healed. He closed the envelope and stared out the glass wall of his Lekki penthouse. From this height, the city looked like an ant colony. Everyone busy, moving, forgetting. But Damien didn't forget. He felt his pulse quicken, not from heartbreak, but something else, something colder. A plan forming in the shadows of his mind. He wasn't going to ignore the invitation. No. He was going to walk into that wedding and remind everyone who the hell Damien Owulabi was. But this time he wouldn't come alone. He didn't want just a date. He wanted a symbol, a walking contradiction to their world of pretense and polish. He wanted someone who had nothing to prove, yet everything to say. And just like that, fate answered him. The very next evening, while driving back from a late tech meetup, he saw her. On the side of the road near Echo Atlantic, drenched in rain, huddled under a nylon wrapper. Her eyes met his. And everything changed. The rain poured in angry waves, soaking the streets of Victoria Island. It was the kind of Lagos rain that drowned drains and washed away dignity. Traffic had slowed to a crawl, and windshield wipers beat like anxious hearts. Damien's Range Rover glided quietly through the storm. He sat in the back seat, a file open on his lap, but his eyes weren't reading. He was lost in thought. Every raindrop felt like a memory knocking on his window. Amara's voice still echoed in his head. Hope you've healed. He scoffed quietly. No one truly heals from betrayal. You simply learn to carry the scar with style. Then he saw her. The car's headlights swept over a bundle beside a drainage tunnel, barely shielded by torn nylon. It wasn't just a shadow. It was a person. A woman. Stop the car, Damien said sharply. His driver glanced back. Ogre, it's late and raining, stop. The car. Reluctantly, the vehicle rolled to a halt. Damien stepped out without an umbrella. The rain pounded his custom-made suit, but he didn't flinch. The woman was curled like a child, hugging her knees to her chest. Mud covered her bare feet. Her arms were thin, her face gaunt, yet somehow her back remained straight. Defiant! Madam, Damien said gently, are you okay? She flinched, then looked up slowly. Her eyes were sharp despite the dirt on her cheeks. There was no fear in them. Only warning. I'm not a beggar, she said. Her voice was hoarse, but strong. I didn't say you were. Then why are you talking to me? He hesitated. She was different. Not like the usual faces he saw in the gutters of Lagos. Her accent was crisp. Her words chosen carefully. What's your name? She hesitated. Zainab. I'm Damien. She gave a tired smile. I know who you are. You do? Everyone with a working phone in Lagos does. You're the tech guy. The one they called a scammer. Then the one who rose from the ashes. Damien folded his arms, rain dripping from his jawline. And you? I used to be many things, she said. Now I'm just someone trying to make it to the next morning. He crouched beside her. Why here? I rotate places. Today it's here. Tomorrow it might be under CMS Bridge. I keep moving. Safer that way. Damien studied her. Her cheekbones hinted at once beautiful features. Her hands, though grimy, were slender and manicured underneath the dirt as if she hadn't always lived this way. What happened to you? Zainab paused. You asking as a journalist or a saviour? Neither. I'm asking as someone who knows what it's like to be thrown away. That got her attention. Why are you really here, Damien? He smiled. I got invited to a wedding. My ex-fiancée. She's marrying someone who pretended to be my friend. Zainab laughed dryly. Lagos people. I want to go, but I need a plus one. Someone unforgettable. Someone real. She looked at him as if he were mad. Maybe he was. You want to take a homeless woman to a high society wedding." He shrugged. "I don't want just anyone. I want you." "Why?" "Because you've suffered and survived. I don't know why yet, but something tells me there's a storm inside you louder than this rain." Zainab looked away, biting her lip. "You don't know me." "Then let me." For a long moment she said nothing. Cars passed. Thunder roared. The city moved on. Then she looked back at him. "What's the catch?" "You'll come with me to the wedding. I'll handle the clothes, the food, everything. And after that, you walk away with whatever you want. I don't need anything else." Zainab narrowed her eyes. "Don't try to fix me, Damien. I'm not some project." "I don't want to fix you," he said. "I want to give you a stage, a beat past." Then she reached out and took the card he extended, a sleek black rectangle with a gold embossed address. "Be there tomorrow," he said, 9 a.m. sharp. As he turned to leave, she called out, "You're crazy, you know." He smiled over his shoulder. "You'll fit right in." The next morning, Damien stood in front of his mansion, dressed in joggers, sipping tea. His security team waited skeptically by the gate. "She won't show," one of them muttered. "These gutter girls no get sense." But at exactly 9 a.m., a figure appeared at the gate. It was Zainab. Her jeans were torn, her top oversized, but her posture was regal. She had washed her face. Her hair was tied in a rough scarf. Her eyes, those stormy, unflinching eyes, were clear. She walked through the gate like she had every right to be there. Damien smiled. "Welcome, Zainab. Let's make history." Zainab stood at the entrance of Damien's mansion like a misplaced puzzle piece. Behind her, the wrought iron gates slowly closed, as if locking her into a dream she wasn't sure she wanted to be a part of. The house stretched wide and glassy across the compound, 3 floors of luxury nestled in the heart of Lekki Phase 1. There was a black Lamborghini parked beside a G-Wagon, and a neatly trimmed lawn with a central water fountain that shimmered in the morning sun. She stared for a moment, then looked down at her dusty slippers. Damien walked over. "You all right?" She crossed her arms tightly, nodding. I didn't expect it to be this big." He chuckled. "You'll get used to it. Come inside." As she followed him in, the cold blast of air conditioning brushed her face. Everything inside the mansion gleamed: white marble tiles, glass staircases, chandeliers hanging like frozen fireworks. It felt like walking into another planet. A middle-aged woman in a white uniform stepped forward. "This is Ms. Angela," Damien said. "She's in charge of the house." Angela gave Zainab a tight smile, masking her obvious curiosity. "I've already arranged everything," Damien told her. "Start today. Full treatment." Zainab frowned. "Treatment?" He looked at her kindly. "You've survived the fire. Now let's bring back your flame." Angela led her to a guest suite bigger than any room Zainab had ever seen. It had floor-to-ceiling windows, a walk-in closet, and a bathroom that looked like something out of a hotel magazine. There was already a team waiting: hairstylists, dermatologists, a dentist, a personal shopper, and a nutritionist. Zainab tensed up. "I'm not a toy," she snapped. "I don't want to be turned into some fancy mannequin." Angela, surprisingly, smiled. "We're not here to change you, dear. Just to help you remember the version of yourself that life tried to erase." Those words sank deep. They began with the basics: soaking her in a warm herbal bath, scrubbing away layers of dirt and exhaustion. She cried in the tub, quietly, as if she were watching the old version of herself swirl down the drain. Then came the hair. They cut off the tangled mass and slowly started treating it with care. For the first time in years, someone ran fingers through her hair, not to pull or hurt, but to restore. Damien checked on her between meetings, knocking gently on her door. She was in a robe, sitting quietly. "You all right?" Zainab nodded, her eyes distant. "Tell me something," he said. "Who were you before the street?" She hesitated. "I was studying theatre arts at the University of Joe's. I wanted to act, tell stories that matter. My father used to say I had fire in my voice." "What happened?" "A trailer hit their car. My parents died on the spot. I was 19. Damien sat, listening. My uncle came into our lives like a savior, but he sold our house, emptied our accounts. Said girls don't need inheritance. I ended up in Port Harcourt, took a cleaning job at a hotel. I was fine until..." She paused, swallowing hard. "One of the managers tried to force himself on me. I hit him with a lamp and ran. That night, I entered a truck thinking it was headed to Lagos. It dropped me in Cotonou. I was trapped in a fish factory for 9 months before I escaped." Damien clenched his jaw, his fists tightening. Zainab looked away. "I came back here hoping to find a friend." She'd moved. "I had nothing left. No ID. No voice. You have one now," he said. "And when you speak, people will listen." The next day was about posture, voice training, and walking with grace. A retired etiquette coach worked with her on speaking with authority and poise. At first, Zainab laughed at the idea. "Why are we wasting time teaching me to sit like a queen?" "Because you are one," the coach replied. "You just forgot." Meanwhile, Damien watched quietly from the balcony, sipping coffee as he observed the transformation. Zainab wasn't just changing, she was reclaiming. Her laugh returned. Her eyes softened. And when she smiled now, it no longer looked like a defense mechanism. That afternoon, she was ushered into a massive walk-in wardrobe where stylists had laid out 10 gowns imported from Italy and Dubai. She chose a floor-length crimson velvet gown with long sleeves, a subtle slit, and a low back. It hugged her body but didn't scream for attention, it whispered power. The tailors altered it to fit her form perfectly. Then came the heels. Then the gele. By the end of the day, Zainab stood before the mirror, speechless. She wasn't just beautiful, she was reborn. Damien walked in slowly, pausing when he saw her. Their eyes locked. For the first time in a long time, he looked at a woman and felt something stir. Not lust. Respect. Admiration. "You look like a warning," he whispered. She smiled. "Good." They sat under the stars that night on his balcony, sipping fresh juice, the lights of Lagos twinkling in the distance. "You're sure you're ready?" he asked. "Damien," she said softly, "I've begged on the streets, been touched by men with no names, eaten from gutters, and watched people die beside me. There is nothing inside that hall that can scare me." He nodded slowly. "Then we go in, not as victims but as vengeance." She raised her glass. "To fire." He raised his. "To rising." March 15th arrived with golden sunshine and a warm, deceptive breeze, the kind that made everything seem peaceful on the surface while chaos quiet brewed beneath. The entire Lekki axis buzzed with traffic and excitement. People whispered that this would be the wedding of the year. The guest list was a who's who of Nigerian elite politicians, celebrities, tech moguls, Nollywood stars, social media influencers, and business tycoons. Photographers hovered like flies at the entrance of the Monarch Event Center, capturing every shiny shoe and gele that entered the marble halls. Inside, the decor was breathtaking. White roses dipped in gold lined the walkways. Crystals dangled from chandeliers like frozen raindrops. A 5-tier cake towered beside a floral backdrop, inscribed with cursive gold letters. And yet, not even the glimmer of money could conceal the nervous tension clinging to the bride. Amara's perfectly contoured face twitched each time someone glanced at the entrance. Tobe, her groom, in a white agbada with gold embroidery, looked relaxed, but there was a sharpness in his eyes. They were waiting for him. Damien. He hadn't RSVP'd, and that silence was louder than any confirmation. 3:02 p.m. The entire room tilted when the doors opened. Every neck craned. The hush that fell was almost supernatural. Damien Owolabi had arrived, but it wasn't just his presence that turned the air cold, it was her. The woman on his arm. Zainab. She stepped into the hall like a goddess reborn, dressed in a floor-length crimson velvet gown with long regal sleeves and a slit that hinted at elegance rather than seduction. Her skin glowed like polished mahogany. Her golden gela was sculpted into a crown. Every step she took echoed. Whispers rippled. Who is that? She's not Nollywood. She's not even tagged in his Instagram. She looks dangerous. Damien wore a black and gold tuxedo, no tie, just a satin-collared shirt slightly unbuttoned. Calm, controlled, lethal. He leaned over and whispered to Zainab, "They're already shaking." Zainab smiled faintly. "Let's finish the job." They moved like royalty through the hall, shoulders squared, eyes forward. As they took their seats near the front, Amara's eyes locked with Damien's. For a moment, the world paused. Her lips parted slightly. Shock, regret, jealousy. It was hard to tell which surfaced first. Zainab didn't break eye contact. She looked directly at Amara, her smile soft but disarming like a lioness before a pounce. The MC took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the celebration of Amara and Tobe, two hearts destined to beat as one." The crowd cheered. Zainab leaned over to Damien and whispered, "If their hearts are beating together, why does she look like she's about to faint?" Waiters served champagne in crystal flutes and tiny bites of puff-puff infused with cognac. Guests mingled in groups, gossiping and speculating. Tobe approached first. "Damien?" he said with a smirk. "Didn't think you'd actually come." Damien raised his glass. "And miss this beautiful disaster?" "Never." Tobe's eyes flickered to Zainab. "And your companion?" Zainab turned slowly. "Zainab Ibrahim, and you must be the man who needs nen 500 million in wedding decor to cover emotional insecurity." Tobe's face twitched. Damien chuckled. "She's direct." Amara joined them. She looked radiant on the outside. Her ivory gown hugged her curves flawlessly, but her energy was unsettled. "Damien," she said softly, "you look like someone who dodged a bullet," he offered. She gave a forced laugh. "Not at all. Just changed." "Time and betrayal will do that to you." Her eyes shifted to Zainab. "I don't believe we've met." Zainab extended a hand with grace. "We haven't, but I've heard so much about you." Amara hesitated but shook it. "You look familiar," Amara said cautiously. Zainab tilted her head. "Maybe from your nightmares." Tobe narrowed his eyes. "You've got guts." "Survival requires it," Zainab replied. "Something you'd understand if you ever struggled for more than 5 minutes." As guests returned to their seats, the MC announced, "We now invite the bride and groom to share a few words with their loved ones." Tobe stepped forward confidently. He spoke of destiny, legacy, and the merging of two empires. Amara followed, holding a mic with slightly trembling hands. She gave a rehearsed speech about love surviving storms and how real love waits for the right time. When she finished, the applause was polite. Then the MC's voice rang again. "We'd also love to hear a few words from one of Lagos' most influential men, Mr. Damien Owolabi, and his charming guest." Gasps spread. Damien stood. "I'll let her speak." Zainab rose slowly, every eye locked on her as she took the mic. "My name is Zainab Ibrahim. Many of you don't know me, but after today you will." The silence was deafening. 2 weeks ago I was living under a bridge. not metaphorically. I mean literally. Rain, rats, fear, hunger, that was my world. Gasps. But then, someone gave me a chance. Not because I was clean, not because I had connections, but because he saw something the world stopped seeing in me: value. She turned to Amara and Tobe. You sent him that invitation to mock him, but he didn't come here broken. He came here whole. And I came as the reminder that strength is not found in wealth, but in rising from the ruins. She paused. And since we're speaking of legacy, Zainab reached into her purse and pulled out a USB stick. I was trafficked into a factory in Cotonou owned by a network of shell companies. Guess who signs off on those offshore accounts? The projector behind her flickered to life. Documents. Names. Transfers. Chief Ebube. Tobe. Fraud. Laundering. Trafficking. The audience gasped. Phones were pulled out. Cameras flashed. Zainab's voice didn't shake. Tobe, you may own oil wells, but you're about to drown. The hall exploded. Amara dropped her bouquet. Tobe lunged forward but was held back by security. He shouted curses, trying to control the narrative, but the damage was done. Zainab stepped back, handed the mic to the MC, and turned to Damien. Let's go. He offered his arm. They walked out as chaos erupted behind them, paparazzi chasing, guests shouting, Amara sobbing, police arriving. But outside, under the Lagos sun, everything was quiet. Join me next time for more captivating stories. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Before you go, help me grow this community. Hit that like button for more thrilling content, subscribe for new uploads, comment below with your theories and reactions. Share with friends and family who love a good story. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being an amazing part of this journey.